If you're in a relationship and you omit details about your own life, you give your partner the opportunity to fill in those details for you. And you may think, oh, it's not a big deal, it's a small detail, I just went here after work and came straight home. Oh, it's not a big deal, I met up with this girl and, she's just a friend of mine, who cares? Oh, it's not a big deal, she doesn't need to know what it is I'm actually doing right now. As guys, we tend to, at least me in the past, I've made the mistake of believing that omitting details had no consequences. I believe that, for lack of a better term, the less she knew, the better in certain areas. I didn't want her to trip over anything when it wasn't like that. I didn't want her to feel insecure about anything, because she had nothing to be insecure about. She had nothing to be scared about. There was no competition. I didn't want her to feel like I was not wholeheartedly invested in the situation. So I let details out. For me, they were small. They didn't mean anything. But is where the trap is. You're actually setting yourself up for failure. And this is for all the fellas out there. You want a healthy relationship, you gotta open up. You gotta say to yourself, what I give her in confidence. And if she receives it in a way that, is misconstrued, then I gotta clear that up. But if she doesn't receive any information, she's liable to imagine it herself anyway. When you don't tell her anything, you give her license to fill in the blanks herself. So what happens when she's filling in the blanks? Her insecurities kick in, her fears kick in, all the worst what ifs kick in. So it's your job to be considerate about that natural inclination in your girl. You know that when you don't tell her anything, she's going to make it up on her own. And for her, it's like, why wouldn't you tell me? So she's feeling like you don't trust her. It's guaranteed to develop a dishonest wedge between you guys. Nobody wants to be hurt. And when people are invested in things, they want to minimize risk in that situation. I'm invested in this. I want to get a return. I want to get a reward for it. So when a woman is invested in you, if she sees certain details, certain, omissions of points, she's going to see blanks. And she's going to have this huge picture, and she's going to have these spots that are not colored in. Her imagination is going to color that in. If she values what it is she's investing in, then she's going to think about it like, what's the worst case scenario? How do I prepare for the worst of the worst? And you may be thinking, because I know I did, this is all of me. Like, you need to have your self, and I need to have myself, and we're self-contained, and you got to manage your own emotions, and you do that over there, and I'm going to do this over here, and then we come together as two happy people. But it does not work like that in a relationship. When you're in a relationship, you gain partial control and partial responsibility over your partner's emotional well-being. I say partial because no one person can make another person completely happy. The trust issue is a main factor, and trust is about secure vulnerability. It means I can be vulnerable, open with you, but it's safe here. So it doesn't matter if I'm vulnerable and open with you. At the end of the day, the point is, being completely open and honest means not omitting details. It means that you're not going to allow your partner to feel insecure because they feel like they have a complete picture coming from you. They don't feel like they have to fill in the blanks, and there's nothing fishy smelling about it. You got to be honest about the situation. If there's something you're not telling your girlfriend, it's either because you're scared of backlash, scared of some consequences, or you're doing something wrong. And that's something I had to admit with myself. I had to admit that. I had to finally realize, like, all right, am I not talking about this because, it's not a big deal? Or am I not talking about this because subconsciously I do know it's a big deal, and I just don't want to attack it. I don't want to deal with it right now. So I'm just glossing it over, not dealing with it at all. And that in itself, as a grown man, you got to be honest, like, yeah, all right, that's a coward move. I gotta do better. Either way, it's not a legitimate excuse, and you got to be honest about that. So if you pretend it's not an issue, it's at your own peril. Be open, be honest, be sober, and be aware.